Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about three different aspects when we create or when we provision brand new tenant within or for the organizations, right? So those three aspects are for uh, direct reports to the respective managers. That's the one of the thing when we have a small, medium, or larger organization, right? And we wanted to make sure that there's a person who is maybe a location head or country head or area head, whoever it is, right? And that person being a manager for the whole location, that means it is something that we wanted to or we have to add all the people who are working on that respective location as a member of that specific group, right? So let's say in the hierarchy, someone is sitting at the top level as a manager, and then all other people are coming under that respective person as a member or a team member, right? Or maybe kind of separate teams, but it is going to be report. They are going to report to that respective manager because he is the person who is on the top level within that specific area or location. And so by creating a specific group with a specific role, it is going to be possible, but definitely it is going to be something where we need to add that person as a member or as a manager to that respective group or respective manager. Let's say we have 10 users and there's a person who is going to be manager for all those 10 users, right? So we need to make sure that that respective person is a manager of all those 10 members so that when we add or create such a group, which is going to be dynamic group, obviously, and once we create a group and assign a rule called direct reports to that respective manager's ID, right? And then all those people would be added into this one, added into that specific group, right? So this way we can filter out and find out who is reporting directly to that respective person, right? And then we can filter out and it is easy for us to manage as well, right? So this way it is going to be definitely helping us as an IT side as well as respective teams, be it from HR side, be it from any other business unit sides, and it is completely easy and manageable on all those aspects, right? So I'm going to show you on that how we can create that group and what is needed there too, right? And the next aspect of this is that how we can create all users group and all devices group, wherein those are the dynamic groups, right, within the Entra ID. And those probably would be in most scenarios, in most cases, are the security groups, right? And by creating group, definitely you might be wondering those are dynamic groups, then we definitely need to provide dynamic query rules, right? That's true. We need to provide the query rule so that it is going to catch all the devices and all those devices and the users needs to be added into those groups. But in the users group, if we wanted to exclude the guest users and those are users who are added from maybe externally, kind of external users, guest users, then definitely we have to exclude those and put an exclusion there. And instead of that, we can put inclusion only for internal users and members, and we are excluding other users, right? So we can do that as well. And by doing that one, we can simply make sure add only those internal users and exclude others because we don't really need or want those external users to be seen or maybe managed or something like that, right? In the devices group context, we can simply put all the devices which are part of our Entra tenant and management section, right? Also, we can exclude the registered devices if those are the registered and personal devices of those respective users, right? And then we can make sure we would be able to manage those users' devices effectively, and we can take actions, right? Because when we have large number of devices within the organization to manage, that it becomes cumbersome, and it is going to be very time consuming to find and take the appropriate actions on it. And that is why we should have these appropriate groups, and then add the devices and take actions and manage those appropriately. Otherwise, that's not easy task to manage each and every device, right? So these are the three aspects, and these are the three new, not new, definitely these are the old capabilities, but I'm going to show you how we can do that by creating these groups from the scratch. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll share my screen here, and you can see that. Okay, so let me share my screen quickly here, and I will simply show you. Perfect. Here we are in the Entra portal, right? And I have already created those groups, but still I will start and show you from the scratch, right? So I'm creating security groups because we don't want these groups to have email or something like that, because we just wanted these groups to be created as a management group, and not any other purpose of these groups. So I am going to create a direct report as people who are reporting to that respective manager, right? Or location head, something like that. So let's say direct report, and maybe you can give any other name, a kind of maybe location head, or uh, I'm going to give direct report to LH location head, and then description, and then membership type. I'm going to select as dynamic user, and then add a query. So here, to add all those users internally, we don't have direct query here. Definitely, if we select account enabled, then equals to true or all, and then other true or false, then that's going to add. But definitely we wanted to filter it out and then change it up accordingly, right? And that way we can take the actions. But I'm going to click on this edit button here and then put that query, which is something like this one, copy and paste. So here's the manager's object ID that we need to put in. So I'm going to go back to the user section and pick up the manager's ID. As a manager, I'm adding this account. Let's say this is the object ID, and I'm going to put that here. So once we put that here, we need to click OK button here, and it is going to be added like this, right? And once it is added, we can simply go back under the validations and add user to validate that one, right? So let's say I'll select any of the user account and hit OK. So now you see that it has verified that whether this user is a manager of these two users. Currently, it is not. That is why you see that it has not added those users. But now if I go ahead and add another user, I'll simply cross or delete it and say this is the one of the user, add, and let it validate. Perfect. So it has validated, saying that direct report for this user, which is a manager, and this query is matching, right? So manager with this object ID. So that means it is going to match with that object ID, which is a part of this rule syntax here, right? And it is going to match. Now let's go back and I'll show you that user account, and that user has manager of this ID. This is one, right? So go to properties and scroll down, and here you can see that manager is set to this account. So that means it is going to validate on that specific object ID of this account and is going to replicate with this specific user account. And then it is simply going to make sure, okay, this user is a manager of this account. That means I have to validate it, right? So now it is validated. And similarly, we can go ahead and validate more users and see how many users are part of this and whether we can make it possible or not, right? And basis on that, we can uh, make the appropriate changes or whatever it is, and then save the configurations. So now I'm good here. And once we are good, once we validate everything, we can go ahead and save this. So once we save, we can click on create group. So this group is going to be created, and then it is going to validate with all those. So this is the previous group I had created, and this is the one which we have created now. So let's go ahead and open it up. And here you can see that this is going to add all the users after it is synchronized first time, right? And meantime, we can go ahead and see the membership rule as well, right? So here's the rules that we have added. This is the direct query. Even if we don't add this, we need to make sure we have properties and operators and values set appropriately so that we are targeting all those members who are a manager or who are member of that respective person as a member, right, in hierarchy. So this way we can do this as well. Let's go back, and meantime we'll go on another topic or another group section on the all users group, and direct report group would execute and it would add all those people. So next is all users group, right? On the all users group, I'll simply give it a name. So all users India. So I'm going to give it a name, all users India, so that it is different because I have already created similar group. And then all users, so dynamic users, because we wanted to add all the users in this group automatically and dynamically. So that is why we should select it. And then under the add dynamic query here, there is also we have similar properties and operators and values that we can go ahead and target and click edit button. From there, we are going to add all users query. So here's the all users query, which is going to be user.object. And this is the property of users. Then dash ne is an operator and the null value. It means it is going to simply add all the users across the tenant, which is going to include the internal users. Those are the members of the tenant, but the external users are the guest, right? And all those users should be added in this case. But if in case we wanted to exclude all those users, definitely we can exclude those users here by adding up another query. So I'm going to show you that query here. So let's say this is the another query where we wanted to use. Let's say this one, which is user type equals to member. So in this case, we are only scoping internal users, internal all users plus the users who are a member of our tenant, right? We don't want to add external users at all. But if we don't add this second half of this query, and only we add this one. That means it is going to add all the users across the organization, including guest users, internal users as members, right? And then it is going to be a bit cumbersome to manage everything together. So this way we can scope it out, right? So for now, I'm going to keep it for all users and click OK. So once we add it, we can go ahead and validate it. And once we verify, and let's say I'm going to select bunch of accounts here and check. Perfect. So you can see that all the users accounts have verified and checked, because it is going to only match with object ID, and it is not going to, or there is no filter out at all, because we have set it to null. Right? So that means it is going to add all the user accounts across the tenant. So let's go ahead and click on save button here, so that it is going to be added, and click create. Perfect. So this was for all users across the organization, right? And even we saw that we can exclude guest and external users, because we don't want those to be seen and used, and maybe it is going to be difficult for management part of that group, right? So let's go ahead and look at the next topic, which is all devices. So I'm giving it a name, all devices India. And then we have, or I'm going to select dynamic devices, because we wanted to target all devices in the organization. And then once we are here, from here also we can directly build the rule or syntax, and then it is going to be used. But in this scope, or in this case, I'm going to select device.object ID and then set it to null, right? So which is going to simply allow us to add all the devices. But in this case as well, if in case we don't want to add all the devices, then we can simply run, or we can put the similar query for all internal devices, like the device property or device content matches with the corporate devices only, and only those groups should be added or part of this group, right? So this way we can make sure that all those devices are put in respective group, and that is easy for us to manage effectively, right? So because there are scenarios where people would be using their personal devices, those would be considered or marked as registered devices. Then it is going to be very cumbersome for us to manage. And even we can create a separate group for registered devices, intra joint devices, hybrid joint devices, and then we can easily manage those devices effectively, right? Because we know what are the registered devices, what are the intra joint devices, what are the hybrid joint devices, so that it is easy for us. Also, we can put in queries or rules, whether those are fully managed, unmanaged, or partially managed, or just registered, right? So basis of that, we can take the appropriate actions. But for now, I'm going to simply put it null here, and then put all the devices into this specific group. So it is going to be straightforward for us. So now let's go ahead and validate this rule. So to validate, we can see simply there are a bunch of devices I have. I am going to simply select. All right, so here you can see it has validated with the object ID of those devices, and it is ready for us to go ahead and create this group. So once it is validated, it is going to uh, add all the devices. Here you see that there are different remarks. In group, that means with the green check mark, it is going to add all the devices or users, right? Not in group, that means it is not going to add in this group, because of query rule that we have put in here. And unknown, that means it is either not part of the device or it is not appropriate to add in this group at all, right? So let's go ahead and save this rule, and we are good here to click on create button. So, all right, here we have created three groups. Let's go ahead and see our first group, direct report location head group. And then we can see that it has added all the users. So basis on the query rule that we have added, which is matching, right? And it has added all the users to this group. So now let's go one step back and I'll go to dynamic membership rule. And here is the query, right? So this is the manager object ID. So this, whoever has a manager with this ID or this name, it is going to be manager for them, and all those people would be added into this specific group, right? So this is going to give us a direct report, membership group or membership, and then it is easy for us to manage, right? So from here we can manage those users. Either we can add, remove, or whatever it is. We can take all those actions, right? Let's go back and look at the next all devices, all users. So here's that all users India group that we have created. And here you can see it has added all the 128 user accounts to this one, and dynamic rules processing status was succeeded at this time specifically, right? It is going to show everything, then total members. You can go to dynamic membership rule here and see that rule, whatever the rule we have put in place, and then even we wanted to change, we can go ahead and change it by modifying it from here. Let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is all devices. So this is one, all devices India. So here you can see that rule was succeed. Total are 8 members, right? And membership changes from here. And then let's go back to dynamic membership rules, and you can see that we have put this device.object ID operator dash any and null, right? So this way it is going to simply check, and it is going to let us or it is going to be executing. So yeah, these are the three things I wanted to show you in the context of groups and direct reports, and hope this is going to be helpful for you, and it's going to save you a lot of work and help you to understand and effectively management of direct reports or members and managers relationships in the organization or hierarchy, and then the uh, all users management, including internal and external and members across the organizations, and then for the devices as well, right? So on the device side, definitely you can filter it out whether internal users or internal devices which are fully managed, unmanaged, or a partially management, including registered, intra joint, hybrid joint, or whatever it is. And then you can modify those queries. Similarly, on the all users groups as well, you can filter out with members, and then you can put all those people, right? So yeah, that's all for this video. Hope you like it. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.